Investigation into the bombings at the Boston Marathon. A short time ago, federal authorities released photographs and video of the two men they believe are suspects in the attack. CCTV's Nick Harper is live in Boston for us with the latest. And Nick, what have officials been saying?
Well, it's just over 72 hours since those two bombs exploded in the street behind me, killing 3 people, including a Chinese student who was studying here in Boston. Tonight, for the first time, it seems that the FBI, with the release of this new information, seem to be a step closer to finding out who was responsible for those attacks. These are the two men FBI investigators think planted the bombs that ripped through Boston. Identified simply as Suspect 1 and Suspect 2, surveillance footage shows them separately, but more importantly, together. The first definitive pictures of exactly who the police are after.
Suspect 1 is wearing a dark hat. Suspect 2 is wearing a white hat. Suspect 2 set down a backpack at the site of the second explosion just in front of the Forum restaurant.
It's the first major breakthrough since the bombings more than 3 days ago. The news follows on from Wednesday's confusion when reports of an arrest were quickly contradicted by Boston police and the FBI. With no official briefing on Wednesday, incomplete and unconfirmed details were leaking out, making it difficult for investigators. By cancelling that briefing, it suggested the FBI needed more time before going public with the information they have. The FBI stressed these pictures and video were the only official images. Other unverified pictures surfaced on Wednesday, something officials have been quick to criticise. Investigators say they need the public to help find these two men.
We know the public will play a critical role in identifying and locating these individuals. Somebody out there knows these individuals as friends, neighbors, co-workers, or family members of the suspects. Though it may be difficult, the nation is counting on those with information to come forward and provide it to us.
As for the devices, these twisted metal fragments are the tiny pieces of a puzzle investigators are scrambling to put together. Specialists at the FBI's bomb lab in Virginia are continuing to work on reconstructing the homemade pressure cooker bombs, hoping to shed light on who was behind the blasts. And now pictures of the men the FBI say are suspects. Pictures that could make all the difference to catching those responsible for the bombings. It's important to note that the FBI are stressing that although they want the public's help in finding these two men, they should not approach them. They consider them to be armed and extremely dangerous. So although they want people's help to find them and identify them, they don't want people's help in trying to apprehend them. And they're saying that finding them and identifying these two men is now their highest priority.
Nick, now that they've released these pictures of the people they think were behind this bombing, where does the investigation go to from here? Presumably, they will now start looking at tapes, of course, of transport infrastructure in that particular area, things like subway stations, buses, trains, even the airport, I guess.
Well, we know that there are a lot of police here in Boston at the moment, around 1,000 from 30 different agencies, and they've been dealing with tip-offs, calls, looking at evidence, all of that over the last few days. Now that they've released these images, we're already being told that they're receiving phone calls from members of the public, people who are providing names. So that will be their next line of inquiry, to follow up on these names, to find out whether the names that people are suggesting are the people that they think were behind these bomb attacks.
All right, thanks, Nick. Nick Harper there reporting from Boston.